February the 21st, year 2018. This is show number 1164. I am your host, joined as always in my life by my co-host, Melissa. Hello.
Hello, Shawn.
How are you?
Good.
Did you have a good week?
So far, not bad.
I was sick last week.
Yes.
You weren't.
No, I'd be gloriously healthy.
Glorious. Typhoid frickin' Mary over there.
You shouldn't resent me for my health.
Why not?
Because
we all got sick because of you.
That is not true.
Damon got sick, and then 2 days later, Rory got sick, and then 2 days later, I got sick. So why didn't you get sick?
You're just assuming that it's me. It's not.
Well, explain to me how you could have 3 boys in this house, all got sick, and you didn't. You're the medical professional on the team.
I wash my hands a lot.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not me. I'm not a carrier. You're calling me a disease carrier.
I think you are. I'm sorry. I
I'm
think
not
you
a
are.
carrier.
Folks, on tonight's show, we'll talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com, as usual. We're talking to him some more about the HomePod. We're talking in particular about that weird ring bass problem that the HomePod seem to have in common with other speakers and other things you put on your countertops and your tabletops, and whether or not Apple should have known about this and whether or not Apple's response was adequate or not. Too long didn't read version? I don't think it was. But I think Apple will have a solution for it. We'll talk to Jim about that and other things later on in the show. We're also going to be talking about this very nice company called Nomad, who sent me a bunch of stuff to test out. Nomad, hellonomad.com is their website. They've got this very nice iPhone 10 case that I've had on my phone now for a couple of weeks. We've got the universal USB cable they have, which is really cool. A USB hub that Melissa in particular likes a whole lot, and a very odd wallet with a battery inside of it. And we'll talk about that later on the show. We're also going to have a pre-recorded interview with the chief operating officer of a company called Pixsy, Pixsy.com, Kane Jones from New Zealand. I don't know why I went to her for that because she's from Australia. So I know it's not the same. I know it's not the same. So sorry. It's not the same. Not even close. I know. I'm sorry. We had an interview with Kane earlier this morning, and so we'll talk to him about that. But the short version of that is go sign up for it. If you have put a photograph online, if you put any photographs online, whether it be on Instagram or Flickr or anything else like that, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't cost anything. You might as well go and have Pixsy check to make sure people aren't using your photographs. It's an interesting story. I mentioned it briefly a couple shows ago, and now we can actually say who it was. My friend Jared Earl was the one in the UK who got £3,000 from the folks at Pixsy.com because they found one of his images that was being used without authorization. So $3,000, I could use that. Could you use that?
Oh, yes.
In a heartbeat. So Pixsy.com, check it out. That'll be the starting point for every segments of the show later on. We watch the Olympics, bits and pieces of it. We don't have cable TV, so we're watching it on the CBC News app, and we're being very particular about what we're watching tonight. Sorry to my American friends, this has to be said. Tonight it's Canada versus the United States in hockey. Women's gold medal final is tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific time. I will have my butt parked in front of a television set watching hockey this evening because that's what we do in Canada. We watch hockey. We in particular watch hockey when it's against the Americans. This is very important to us. It's not important to you Americans, but you have no idea how important it is to us Canadians.
To beat them.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be willing to bet, for the most part, if you gave Canadians a choice between beating the Americans and winning a gold medal, you could only choose one. Most of us would choose beating the Americans.
Of course.
Oh, God, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We'd rather beat the Americans and get bronze than not meet them at all and get gold.
Oh, yeah.
It's wrong. We recognize that it's the whole big brother, little brother thing.
Oh, well.
The little brother always wants, the big brother doesn't pay attention to the little brother, but the little brother always wants to beat the big brother. It's just that. That's the syndrome.
Well, we've talked about when Australia beat the America's Cup, but we always have to say that Australia won the America's Cup.
That's
Just leave it at that now.
Leave it at that. So we were watching the ice dancing final. Again, Canada won. Wonderful, wonderful pairs couple, Virtue and Moyer. And the funniest thing in the world happened. As they come out and start playing the music, I'm listening to the music and I'm thinking, that's a really weird version of that song. It turned out they danced to the Police's Roxanne, although it seemed like a Tom Waits version.
No, Roxanne.
It was very, very strange. But the funniest thing in the world was I start laughing whenever that song plays, because Sly, who unfortunately isn't feeling well, so she can't be here tonight, hates that song. Hates that song. With the blinding passion of 1,000 red hot suns, Sly hates Roxanne.
Oh.
I don't know why. I've asked her, do you know anyone named Roxanne? Does some girl named Roxanne piss you off at some point? She just hates the song. And it got me thinking, are there songs out there that you hear, like popular songs? I'm not talking about, the latest song by Rihanna or something like that. But are there popular songs or classic songs or well-known songs that you instinctively hate? We were talking about this afternoon, and for me, I remember when it was first released, I think back in the 80s, Culture Club, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? Oh, I hated that song.
Oh, yeah.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Because my answer was always, yes, very much so. I really, really want to hurt you.
Do you really want to make me cry?
Oh, so bad. So bad. Another song I detest was Hey Jude by the Beatles. I found it so annoing and repetitive.
It is
and
annoying. There's a lot of annoying Beatles songs.
Droning.
Yeah.
What were some of the songs that you hate? Is there some
Oh my gosh, I hate Witchy Woman, the Eagles. Ooh, ooh, witchy. Okay, whatever. I don't even know I hate that song.
Joe Cass says, You're So Vain. Interesting choice. That he would hate? That's Joni Mitchell?
Oh, no.
No. Who sings?
No.
Who sings You're So Vain?
I thought it was Carly
Simon.
You're So Vain. No, I couldn't. I wouldn't hate You're So Vain. But no. Witchy Woman. What's another Eagles song? I've really realized that I don't like the Eagles. No, I don't.
We don't like the Police either.
Don't like the Police.
So it doesn't count for bands that you don't like automatically.
No.
That's not a fair. But are there songs? There was another song you mentioned this afternoon that you.
Oh, I hate more Beatles songs. Like I hate Yellow Submarine and
really.
I don't like that song. I don't like the Beatles. I really don't like most of the Beatles songs.
Well, see, again, that is outside the question. It's got to be a song. Let's say it's a song from a band that you do like or that you don't hate.
Well, the Eagles is an example of that.
There's another song you mentioned this afternoon. What was it?
Oh, well, we don't want to talk about any, the song that I mentioned. You said the guy that I mentioned. What's the guy that I said you said no one likes his songs. No, the Copacabana guy.
Oh, Barry Manilow.
Barry Manilow.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that Copacabana song, that'll make me tear my ears off.
I hate that song.
At the Copa. Shut up.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah,
Shut
I can't
up.
do that.
Monty says, Purple Rain. I'll trip over the furniture to get to the radio to change that station if it comes on.
But that's one of your favorite songs.
I'm saying Monty says that, not me.
No, but I know, but it's just interesting.
MacMan says, I will make you cry if that song gets stuck in my head.
I know, right? I know.
Well, it's funny. Good songs never get stuck in your head. Don't even the really shitty ones that get stuck in your head. What else? Carly Simon, Space Cowboy. I don't know that one.
I shouldn't even say this, even being on Canadian soil.
You say national anthem, you have to leave.
I hate Rush. I know, right? I knew you were going to give me that look. I think we're going to get a divorce now.
That's like hating Tragically Hip.
Well, I would never. No, Tragically Hip. I mean, you can't even turn it off if it's on the radio. And you have to sit and wait for it to finish.
Sherry says the same thing. Rush is terrible.
I hate Rush, Sherry. I go, I just have to turn it off straight away. I don't know how you people can like it.
What's the song that Space Cowboy? Some people call me Maurice.
Some people call me. Oh, that's the Steve Miller. Some people call me Maurice.
Okay.
Awful.
MacMan, anything by Celine Dion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My Heart
Have
Will
to
Go
agree.
On. I can't stand that song.
Can't stand it.
I don't. hate Celine Dion so much that I don't care about her. I don't listen to her, but my heart will go on. Makes me want to turn the radio off.
Oh, I didn't even know that song.
That's another one of her overwrought ballads.
Oh, she's just so dramatic.
She sells it. Yeah, she sells it. Celine is so earnest. It's funny. I think that's the problem I have with Celine Dion in general. She's just very earnest in her music. Yeah, exactly. And she will always that heart pop. No, you're a white girl. Don't do that.
No,
the chest beating. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's another one I hate.
Yeah, drama. Yeah.
What other songs? I'm trying to think of a list of.
I don't like that. You go peaceful, easy feel. Another Eagles.
So you just hate the Eagles?
No, I don't actually. There are some today. Desperado was on the radio, and I actually
I don't care about the Eagles. Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't listen to them voluntarily. I don't hate their stuff. I just find them boring.
Yeah.
Now Sly, thank God she's not here because she'd kill the two of us. Because she loves the Eagles.
Sly. Oh, does she?
And don't ever say anything bad about Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, no, I wouldn't. Although my ex-husband loved. I mean, I've seen Bruce Springsteen live. Love Bruce Springsteen.
I made the mistake of once telling Sly I didn't care about Bruce Springsteen. I thought she was going to take a testicle with her.
Yeah,
she was not. I didn't know the depth of Sly's love of Springsteen at the time.
No.
And I wasn't saying I didn't like him. I was just saying another artist I don't care about. Not that I hate anything he does. Bob Dylan. This man is so lame. He's just so nasally, and I can't stand the sound of his voice.
I know you don't like him. I don't play him because I know you don't like him.
You like Dylan?
I like some of his stuff.
Really?
I don't like all of his stuff.
I just don't like the sound of his voice.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of hating a song so much that I want to tear my ears off. It's just the sound of his voice doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. No, I get it.
You've got some yoga music that makes you want to cry.
Well, that's why you've got to leave the room when I do yoga.
Mosquito. Okay, now we're getting into nasty earworm territory. Shawn, please take pity on us. It's true. It's a scientifically proven thing. They can't figure out why, but good songs don't get stuck in your head like earworms.
Yeah.
It's only really shitty songs.
It's true. Well, it's like if they make ads and they put in things that are awful through the advertisements, it sticks with you.
I think one of the things I can't stand that's becoming more and more prevalent maybe in the last 10 years is hearing the music that you loved, especially in junior high school and high school, maybe even college, from bands that you loved that are suddenly now showing up in car ads.
Yeah.
Like, first time I heard a Clash song behind a Toyota ad, I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah.
Or where the music, especially because of our generation, when the music that you loved and still love, for that matter, start turning up in classic rock stations. It's like, fuck you! It's not classic rock. I'm not old. Because classic rock means old.
I know.
Because to me, and it's typical for everybody, to me, classic rock, classic music is whatever the music was playing the generation before me.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and the Stones and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's classic rock to me. Not the Clash or the Police. Or
is that like 80s?
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff?
80s, late 80s, early 90s.
Mm.
When that stuff shows up in classic rock stations, I want to cry because it means I'm old.
I know, it does.
It means you're officially old.
It does.
And that stuff starts to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Sherry says, dude, they're playing Foo Fighters on classic stations. Okay, that's not right. Foo Fighters, first of all, are not classic in any way, shape, or form.
No,
but they're not that old.
I don't know them very well.
Anyway, if you have any other songs that you want to let us know, and maybe we can get them stuck in people's heads as earworms, let me know. Send me an email to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Later on the show, we'll be doing an interview with the COO of Pixsy.com, Kane Jones. Kane's going to be talking to us about the company and what it does and how it does it. We're also going to be talking about the product from a company called Nomad. The website's hellonomad.com. But up next, we'll talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. This is Your Mac Life.
Your Mac Life.
Welcome back, folks. This is Your Mac Life. Thank you guys very much for joining me here on this Wednesday evening. On our phone, we've got our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
How was your week?
Fine.
Did you do anything interesting?
No.
All right. Well, I'm just trying to get more interest in your life. Not that I care that much.
Well, no, I didn't do anything,
How's your furniture?
What?
How's your furniture? Has the HomePod destroyed any of your furniture?
No.
This was a story that blew up last week around this time. And in some ways I found it very interesting. Other ways I found it really frickin' sad. What's your take on this? Is this a typical Mac community tempest in a teapot, or is this actually important?
Okay, well, so there's a couple of things. First, I would have thought that Apple would have picked up on this, known it beforehand. And in some way let us know that, hey, this will happen, but it happens with all, other speakers too. I'm sure that people that have expensive furniture like that weren't pleased to find white rings, whether it's from the Roku or not the Roku, the Sonos or the HomePod. So I'm sure that they wouldn't have been impressed like that. I don't have any expensive furniture. So, and where it's sitting, for me, it's white. So I wouldn't be able to tell if there was a ring there or not. So was it overblown? Well, Apple never said that there could be a white ring there.
Yep.
I mean, I was surprised because, like I said, where I have it setting, it's white, so I never noticed anything.
I think Neil Seibart from Above Avalon had a great line. He said, the problem isn't that Apple included a silicon base on the HomePod. The problem is that Apple didn't include a disclaimer that said silicon may not play nicely with certain wood finishes. This, from my research, is a fairly well-known issue. I mean, it's an issue that those of us who had mothers who banged on us about using coasters know about. But you don't. Yes, I understand you don't put a beer bottle down on a nice piece of wood furniture without putting a coaster underneath it. But no one expected to need a coaster for a frickin' speaker, so you can't blame the user for being upset by this, can you?
I don't think so. I mean, if Apple had have said, "Oh, by the way, because of the silicon base, it could leave a mark." Oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Yep.
Okay, then that's great. But people that didn't know and it happened. Now, is it a permanent damage to your furniture? No, it's not. It'll come off. But yeah, we should have known.
The Macman says, is something leaching under the speaker and leaving a mark? No, what the issue seems to be is that there is the silicone is reacting to either the wood or the oils, the wood finish, the oils in the wood finish, and that is causing this marking.
So also, don't set it on the console of your Bentley.
Exactly, on the fine Corinthian leather. Exactly. It is a kind of a funny problem, but it was really interesting to see so many people blaming the users on this. I don't think this is a user issue at all. There was no reason for anyone to expect that putting a simple speaker on wood would have caused this issue. Everyone popped up and said, well, the Sonos does it too. So that doesn't mean it's okay because the Sonos does it too.
Well, what I thought was interesting is that nobody ever heard of the Sonos doing this until the HomePod did it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, no, this is not a user problem. It's a problem, and you know, luckily for Apple, it's not isolated to them. It's not something that they did, but they must have known. They must have known.
So you're saying Apple should have. See, now the problem is saying they must have known. If you assume that they should have known or did know and then didn't warn us, that's a whole different story, as opposed to Apple just didn't know this was going to happen, which brings up a whole other set of questions, doesn't it?
Right. So I would think that of all the furniture that they tested HomePod on, one of them must have been a wood oiled, table or something. I mean, maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
Well, the thing is
I have no idea.
The thing is, a lot of people pointed out this is the kind of thing that Apple has said that they sent these out to their employees, and this is something that you'd think at least one Apple employee would have been able to say, "Oh, hey, guess what, folks? This thing is causing this issue on my furniture." If Apple had sent this out to a few hundred employees or even a few dozen, someone would have noticed these white rings, which brings me up to a really interesting point. And this is where you got to put your tinfoil hat on. I saw this conspiracy theory, and the conspiracy theory is this doesn't happen with any of the prototypes that Apple got from China. It only happens with the shipping product that Apple got from China. So what the conspiracy says is that something changed in the silicone base from when Apple gave the final approval to when users started getting it. And what the rumor is that the supplier of those bases, and apparently having read interviews with other elastomer polymer experts, it doesn't take much to change the composition of silicone base to make it reactive or non-reactive. But it's a bit more expensive to make it non-reactive. So the rumor is that the supplier changed the silicone when they put it in the shipping product to a cheaper version of the silicone. And that's what's caused the problems. That's why Apple didn't notice it, was because Apple was using the more expensive polymer silicone base. No one noticed the issue. Apple gave final go-ahead to for it to go into production. And then the manufacturer said, you know what, I can save a few pennies on these things if I use this other silicone that no one's going to notice because it's no big deal. And that's why this happened.
Well, you can almost bet that Apple would not go for the cheaper silicone.
Exactly.
That's just not the way that they do things.
Yep. And that's why they didn't notice this problem. That explains this sort of conspiracy theory explains all the facts and evidence. Why didn't Apple notice this? Maybe this is the reason why.
But that's as much true as Apple didn't know because they didn't test it on that, or Apple knew all along and just didn't say anything. That doesn't seem like Apple, that they knew all along and didn't say anything.
Agreed.
They would have tried to fix something.
Yep. Because it wouldn't have been any big deal for Apple to say, as they later did, just be careful where you put this thing. I was a little offended by Apple's initial response is, we'll just put it somewhere else. It's a fucking speaker. It's supposed to go on a table. Why don't you put it somewhere else?
Yeah.
It sort of rang. Yeah. It sort of rang of the Steve Jobs line of "you're holding it wrong" with the iPhone 4. It's like that was the wrong initial response, in my opinion, from Apple. You know,
although it was classic. That was classic response.
It really was classic Steve Jobs. There's no doubt about that.
That was absolutely classic. I remember getting the call with that statement, and I was just chuckling the whole time. You know,
yeah, you're holding it wrong. And then I saw a lot of folks putting the HomePod on its side, and then that solved the problem. You know, and I love the fact, as stupid as I think it is, the nice folks at Pad and Quill have already come up with a Pad and Quill coaster for the HomePod, which is hilarious.
Yeah. And you know, good for them.
Yep, exactly.
Good for them. They saw an opportunity and jumped on it. And for people that don't know, Pad and Quill makes some of the highest quality leather goods that you can get. I love the company myself, and when I saw that, you know, I texted Brian, the owner.
Yep,
and
me too.
Said, hey, good for you.
Yeah, that's right. I teased him and said, I can't believe you're jumping this bandwagon. He said, there's money to be made, dude.
Yeah. And there is.
Absolutely.
That's the business he's in.
And
let's make some money.
If nothing else, it's kind of funny and cute. It's $20, so yeah, buy a leather HomePod coaster from the nice folks at Pad and Quill.
But will your leather HomePod coaster get ruined?
Of course it will. I think what we're going to see is that at some point, maybe in the next month or so, Apple's going to have a return policy where they'll say, if you want to bring in your HomePod and swap it out for another one, then we'll let you do that.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's something that we would expect from Apple and that Apple should actually do.
Well, we'll see if they track down what's going on first.
Now, that being said, you did a Dalrymple Report podcast yesterday, day before, with our good friend Dave Mark, also of The Loop. And Dave is a fanatic over the HomePod. I mean, he actually demanded that I not post any HomePod stories because he wanted them all, the greedy bastard. But
I have never seen anything like it. Dave
I know.
has just been on fire with this HomePod thing.
That's right.
And finally, I said, okay, you know, every morning there's like 200 HomePod stories.
That's right.
So I just said, okay, Dave, you got to come on the podcast. You got to come on and we'll talk about this because I've never seen the likes of it. I mean, you know, new products come out and Dave's like, yeah, okay, it's nice, but not HomePod.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
No, he was all over this one. Now, that being said, there was something on the HomePod that you talked about, the J. Dalrymple mechanism. You want to explain to the audience who hasn't heard it what the hell that is?
Is that the phone call thing?
Yes.
Yes. Dave wants phone calls on the HomePod.
Yes.
Be able to initiate a phone call on the HomePod.
Yes.
I don't want to be able to initiate a phone call on my HomePod.
Well,
I want my phone calls to come in on this thing called a phone. Maybe you've heard of it.
Yes, I think I have.
Yeah. And then if I want, I can transfer the call to my HomePod and use it as the world's best speakerphone.
Yes. Oh, exactly.
But only if I want to. I don't want to say to HomePod, you know, call Shawn.
Yeah.
I don't do that on my phone.
No,
so
exactly.
Why would I do it on my HomePod?
Exactly. It's just stupid.
So, yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it.
It's interesting to hear some of the comments from folks talking about how Siri is almost too sensitive on the HomePod. That you mentioned this in your initial review, and I thought that was kind of interesting. But as I read more and more reviews and just the average everyday person talking about it, it's almost kind of annoying that you can be in a whole different room as the HomePod and ask Siri on your iPhone a question, and the HomePod kicks in to answer the question.
I haven't had that. I haven't had stuff. I mean, it shouldn't. The HomePod should let whatever device you're using answer the question.
Yes.
That's the way it should work, and that's the way it works for me. Although I will say there's something funny that happened the other day. I was watching the Olympics, and one of the announcers said something like, "Hey, Carrie," or, you know, something like that. And all of a sudden Siri's listening to it, the TV.
Yeah, that's right.
And she's saying, "Oh, I can't find any information on that." And I'm sitting in the chair saying, What are you I didn't even talk to you.
That's right.
it was really funny. It was really funny. So
you haven't set Siri up to only listen to and for your own voice.
Well, that's what Siri's supposed to do. But
no, you have to set it up so that so what you're saying is anybody can say, "Hey Siri" to your phone.
Oh yes, no, to my HomePod they can. Yes, I guess my
okay,
phone too.
okay.
Yeah, this is on the HomePod.
On the HomePod, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because the HomePod is sitting right next to the TV, and I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
So if when I was testing it, the TV is on, can I still say Siri?
No.
And she'll answer, and not be disturbed by the noise of the TV, and keep in mind that the speaker I have sitting right beside Siri is a Sonos Play Bar, so
Okay. Yeah.
it's loud.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard from a lot of folks that it's a little bit annoying, but also very cool that even at a slight whisper, Siri can hear you over the music playing at pretty generous volumes, and that can be good or bad depending on how you're using HomePod.
I think it's good. I mean, yeah.
There's a story that I don't think enough play got. When it was first released, the Apple Watch was seen as a gadget, as a device that only the super uber geeky nerd would like. And maybe that was true of the first version. The second version got better. The third version is very, very good. But I don't think we've noticed enough about how Apple is almost literally destroying the Swiss watch industry. I mean, Apple switched more watches than the Swiss watch industry in Q4 2017. It's estimated that Apple shipped around 8 million Apple Watches, and every Swiss watch company shipped about 6.8 million.
Yeah.
That's insane. We're talking Rolex, and we're talking all of those people in the Swiss watch industry who are taking a huge hit. They're not going to go out of business. They're going to survive, but people are talking about a lot of consolidation over the next 5 years because of the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch, I don't think anybody can argue now, as they did before, the Apple Watch is a big hit.
Well, I don't think that there was any doubt, at least for me, that the Apple Watch was a big hit. But what were the Swiss Apple Watch sales before Apple Watch?
About the same. In Q1 2016, 5.9. Q1 2017, 5.7. And actually it ticked up in Q4 2017 to 6.8.
Right. So, which was what I would guess. But, so Apple isn't exactly hitting the Swiss watch industry. What they're hitting are the Seikos and those types of watches that people may have wanted to buy.
Yeah.
They're going to destroy them.
But the Swiss watch industry drives the rest of the watch industry. They are the precursor to the Seikos and the Timexes and the lower end average everyday watch companies. So if people aren't buying, I'm not even talking about the higher end. I'm not even talking about the $10,000, Rolexes or that kind of stuff. But people aren't buying the $10,000 Rolex. They're buying what the argument here is. They're buying Apple Watches in favor of that $10,000 Rolex. You know what I mean?
But the sales numbers don't prove that. The sales numbers show that they're actually selling as many as they always did. It's just that Apple is taking a bigger piece of that lower end pie. Well, they don't care about that lower end pie.
You don't think?
No, I really don't. So they will continue to sell like they always did, I think. But those the mid to lower end companies, they're going to be in some real trouble.
Certainly, and that's true of Apple's done that to a lot of mid and low end companies. They did it to cameras. The point and shoot market is almost dead, almost completely dead. The low end camera market, even DSLRs, is on it's on life support if nothing else. It's the same thing with
MP3 players.
Same thing with tablets. There is no, as people have said, there is no tablet market anymore. There is the iPad and everything else. And it's rapidly becoming, there is no more Swiss watch market. There's the Apple Watch, sorry, not Swiss watch, fitness watch market. It's
Right.
Apple and everybody else.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't agree with the Swiss, though. I think, or not just the Swiss, but whoever makes these high end watches,
Yeah.
because they still have a certain cachet to them that people that can afford those are going to go out and buy them. But for people, I mean, let's face it, watches in general over the past couple of decades have gone way down in use.
Yeah.
For me, they did. 2006 was the last time I had a watch before the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
And that was, maybe even earlier, maybe 2005 when I had a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Well, that became my watch. I didn't need a watch anymore. I stopped wearing a watch.
It is interesting to see how and where Apple's going to go with this. The interview that Tim Cook did with Fast Company yesterday sort of bring this to my attention. He said, talking about following in a product category, Tim Cook said, a quote, "I wouldn't say follow. I wouldn't use that word because that implies you waited for somebody to see what they were doing. That's actually not what's happening," Cook said. What's happening is if you look under the sheets, which we don't let people do, is we start projects years before they come out. I think the HomePod, your review of the HomePod, your first demonstration of the HomePod, when Apple pointed out that they've been working on the HomePod for 6 years. This is not something that just happened a couple of weeks ago. This is not something that happened 8 months ago. Where Apple's, yeah, we should do one of these Amazon Echo things. No, Apple does this stuff they started this stuff long ago, and then slowly iterate it within the company until it becomes the product that Apple wants to release. Not the competition to other products, but with the product that Apple wants to make it. And it's really interesting. They've been almost always right when it comes to that kind of stuff. That sort of forward thinking. They seem to be able to get it right every time, which is good and sometimes a little scary, don't you think?
Well, it is, because the question that they asked when they first started off making HomePod was not, how could we put in, a virtual assistant? It was, how can we put a speaker in a room and not have the room affect the sound of the speaker?
Yeah.
Because the room always affects where you place the speaker, always affects the sound that you get in that sweet spot.
Yep.
So that was their challenge. How can we put a speaker in a room and not have the placement of the speaker affect the sound?
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty lofty goal.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's like, let's build a car and not have anybody drive it and not have the road affect how the car drives. That's where we are now.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a lofty goal at the time.
It's interesting that Apple keeps pointing this out, but it doesn't seem that certainly the small-minded tech media really grasp that idea that Apple's working on stuff. I think Tim Cook was quoted that Apple's working on stuff now that we won't see until 2022. That Apple isn't a follower so much as it just takes its time going into, shall we say, obvious markets. It was really funny hearing people talking about how the HomePod was late to the market of the Amazon Echo and the Google Home, and yet everyone drooled over the fact that there's a rumor that Spotify is going to be bringing out their own hardware. It's the same situation. But Apple doesn't get the same respect that a company like Spotify gets for doing the exact same thing. Spotify, rightly so, maybe they should have had their own damn speaker out years ago, but they didn't. They're coming late to the market, but somehow the tech media thinks this is a good idea where it's bad for Apple.
Well, I don't know that any of it is bad. I mean, the tech media is going to say what the tech media says.
Yeah.
They always do, and I don't know. I don't give a lot of it a whole bunch of thought, to be honest, because it just annoys me most times.
That's right.
It's and good. I try not to be annoyed.
I think the future of the Apple Watch is going to be very interesting. It's obvious that Apple is going to keep along with the fashion aspect of it. It's obviously going to keep along with the fitness aspect of it, but it's also obvious, if you're paying attention, that they're making a very concerted push. We may not see it for 5 years to come to fruition, but a very concerted push into the health aspect of things.
Yeah.
And that's going to be I think, a giant hairball for Apple, especially in the United States, with their HIPAA requirements and the working around the present regulations that Apple's going to have to work around when it comes to patient records and data and record keeping. But I do believe that if any company can do it in a patient-friendly way, in a privacy-friendly way, it's going to be Apple. If Google came up with this kind of stuff, I would say, no frickin' way do I want to watch where Google keeps my health data.
Yeah.
I do not want Amazon keeping my health data.
Yeah, right in the sales database.
Exactly. This is the exact same database. Hey, your heart rate just went up. Here's some pills. No. We're sending you aspirin by the hundred weight. No.
Yeah.
Or your Google Watch says, I see your heart rate is racing. Here's directions to the nearest hospital. No, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to me, that's the most fascinating aspect of Apple going forward for the whole company, is how they're going to integrate all these health issues into the Apple Watch and into the way the company manages data and wants to keep customers safe and their privacy secure. More so than anything doing with the iPhone, more so than anything doing with the Mac or iOS or anything else like that. That, to me, is the most interesting aspect of where Apple's going to be going in the next 5 years.
Yeah, well, health is going to be the big thing for sure. And we've already seen that push, and we've seen many of the biggest organizations and hospitals in the country sign on with Apple. And that's great. You know, anything that makes our health better, I think, is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, more power to them if they can continue to do this. But, you know, you said it earlier. The fitness tracker is gone.
Yes.
You know, why would you just want a fitness tracker when you can have an Apple Watch?
Yep.
You know, and slowly but surely they're just going to kill it all.
It's going to be really interesting to me to see how Apple works with the healthcare industry, especially the insurance industry. I can see Apple and health insurance providers giving Apple Watches away for free to insurance companies, insurance companies giving Apple Watches to their customers, to their clients for free, so they can make sure that you're staying with your health goals and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of privacy issues there. There was a story last week in the New York Times how Amazon has a patent for a new wristwatch that will tell them when you've gone to the bathroom and tell them how often you've moved your arms in your job and those kinds of things. That's going to be a big thorny issue for Apple because the healthcare providers, the insurance companies, are going to want that data. Hey, I want to know when this guy is smoking. You know, I want to know when this guy isn't eating well. And Apple's going to say, no, we're not going to give you that kind of detailed personal information. We'll give you overall general health information, but the health insurance companies want it much, much more specific and much, much more granular than that.
Well, Apple won't do that, thankfully.
No, they won't. But if insurance companies want to give these kinds of devices to their employees, Apple's the only guys that they're going to be able to do it with, because in 5 years, I can't see Fitbit still in the market. I can't see Garmin still making these kinds of things. I can see just Apple and Samsung's version will be shit, just Apple and Samsung in the smartwatch market. Yeah,
I can see the same thing.
Speaking of 5 to 10 years, we'll wrap up on this story. The CEO of Uber, who's obviously an idiot, just because he's the CEO of Uber, believes flying taxis are just 5 to 10 years away. Would you get into a flying taxi in 5 years?
No.
I don't know how drunk I'd have to be to do that. I think the only way it could happen is if I was so drunk I'd passed out and my friends put me into a flying taxi.
Right. Yeah, I know. I would not do that. But I don't want to get into a taxi that's self-driving either.
Yeah, well, there's that too. Exactly. That's right.
You know, self-driving, self-flying, whatever. No.
There
No
is
thanks.
no way we're going to have flying taxis in 5 to 10 years. We may.
No.
I don't think we're going to have self-driving taxis inside 5 years. Maybe 10 years, but not 5 years.
In areas like the Silicon Valley, you may.
Maybe, yeah, possibly.
I mean, this is basically where everything will start, and they, test it all out.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that in a couple of areas. So, and as a matter of fact, they've already done, although there's still a person in the car, they've already done some of these
Yep.
tests, but they picked other areas to do them. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised in some areas if we do.
Yeah,
Especially with the speed that tech is moving now.
Yeah.
Damn, it's moving fast.
Tech is moving fast, but I don't think our laws or our culture is moving as fast as tech. I think this tech will definitely go much, much faster than the culture will. I think there's a lot of folks out there like you and I who don't want to get into a self-driving car, who certainly don't want to get into a self-driving taxi or self-flying taxi in order to go place to place.
But then there are a lot of others that do, or that would, so.
Yeah, possible.
Yeah.
Folks, been talking to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Checking out the Dalrymple report. He did a HomePod episode with him and Dave Mark. It's available on the iTunes store. Jim, thanks for joining me, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Shawn.
Talk to you later. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks very much for, excuse me, to Jim for being here tonight. I'm going to take a really no, I'm not going to take a break. Later on in the show, we're going to talk about where did I put it? I had it right here a second ago. Where'd it go? The nice folks at Nomad at hellonomad.com sent me this really cool universal cable along with an iPhone case that I've had on my iPhone for the last couple of weeks, a wired 5-port hub, and also a very weird, interesting, possibly nerdy battery-powered wallet. No, it's not really battery powered, but there's a battery in the wallet. We'll talk to I'll talk about those products that I've been testing out for the last little while. But up next, we're going to talk to the nice folks at, let me get this right, the nice folks at Pixsy. I did an interview earlier with the COO of Pixsy, a guy named Kane Jones. Kane was kind enough to do a pre-recorded interview with me earlier today, so we'll talk to him about that. Let me just make sure I'm doing this right. I'm using 2 apps from the folks at Rogue Amoeba. One's called Farago, that is basically a soundboard app that I can play music from this Macintosh, was before I was piping it in from another one. But then I have to use an app called Loopback in order to loop the audio. So I'm going to play this video, and hopefully this video, the audio will come through, so just bear with me here for a second. Hey folks, this is Shawn King from Your Mac Life. Thanks you guys very much for joining me here this evening. This is a pre-recorded call, so you folks who are listening in live, you can't ask questions, but if you had been listening in live, you would have heard me talk live to the COO of Pixsy, Pixsy.com, Pixsy, talking to Kane Jones. Kane, how are you?
Very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm good. Thank you very much for joining me. You guys are a company that started up in 2014. You're based out of Berlin. Give us a little bit of background of how the company came to be.
Sure. So our founder, Daniel Foster, he's a professional photographer and an entrepreneur. He was struggling with managing where and how his photos were used online, finding lots of cases of theft, unauthorized use, trying to manage this on a scale across the whole internet, and then doing anything about it, was not the easiest process.
Yeah.
He set out to solve that problem. Fast forward now, it's sort of 3 years. We are 25,000 users strong from 72 countries, and we offer 2 core products. So one is our Find platform. So you as a photographer, creative, a web shop, an image owner, you would upload your photos to our service, and then we deliver back matches of your work anywhere we find on the public internet. So we have a crawling technology that finds all of these matches, delivers them back to you to review and decide if any of these are authorized use, if there's unauthorized use. And then we give you a bunch of tools and services to manage these cases. We have an automated takedown service. So if this is an image that you just want taken offline, you've realized it's on a site that you never approved, we have an automated service which sends those automated notices and gets that taken offline. Or our most popular service is our case resolution services. And we have a team of IP and copyright specialists who process these cases with the aim of recovering compensation on your behalf. So let's say a business might be using your image, submitting that case to us. Pixsy takes over. We do all the hard work for you. We partner with 26 law firms around the globe, and we try to get a positive resolution for you, the image taken down, and some compensation for...
So you're out in the world, creating new and awesome...
The process, let's talk a little bit about the back-end process. Nowadays, with the issues of privacy and those kinds of concerns, you said earlier that I upload my images to you guys. How does that happen, and do I have to worry about you guys having all my images?
Very, very good question. So we make it incredibly transparent in our terms and conditions that you are always the owner. Uploading a copy of your imagery to our service is only for us to use it as a reference for the scanning. We want to make that very, very clear. If you are to connect one of your own sources, so we actually have 12 different import sources. You can connect your Flickr, your website, your 500 pics, your photo shelter. In those situations, we don't even store a copy. We just reference the image over the public API that these services offer. But yeah, it's a very good question, and you're always the owner of your content.
So when you say I have to upload these images, it's not actually me sitting here with my 4 terabyte drive uploading individual images to Pixsy.com server. You're going to the services I already use, like Flickr, like 500 pics, Instagram, and grabbing either the image itself or representation of the image to put on your servers. Am I understanding that correctly?
Exactly. So we have the 12 import sources. However, you may want to upload them from your 12 terabyte drive if you so desire. We have the manual upload facility, or we have these automatic integrations.
Now, when it comes to the process, it was very easy, folks. I was telling Kane earlier that my friend Jared Earl had mentioned Pixsy on Twitter, and I asked him about it, and he said it was a really simple process. It was the typical sign-up of things, and then you just link your accounts from Flickr or Instagram to Pixsy. And you don't have to do all of them either. You can do whichever ones that you so choose. Maybe you want your Instagram photos up for free to anyone to grab, or you want to lock down your Flickr account. You can do it that way. It was a very simple, easy process. And more importantly, it's free, isn't it, Kane?
Absolutely. So, I mean, we believe that you should be in control of where and how your work's used. We don't have any sort of expensive lock-in contracts. You can upload 500 images and have them protected for free, synchronize 500 photos, and then it's up to you how you want to deal with that. You may want to deal with that on your own outside of Pixsy. You may simply want to send a takedown, or you might want our case team to manage that on your behalf.
Why would you choose not to let you guys manage it? Why would I want to go through the hassle on my own?
Very good question. I think that's why
well, it's my job, dude.
It's certainly our most popular service. There are some instances where it might just be a photo. It might be a photo of your family, of your children. You just want it taken offline.
Yeah.
You don't want to go through a lengthy or a legal procedure, or you don't want compensation. You just want it taken off. It's your property, and that's why we give you the suite of tools so you can choose.
So not every image is, shall we say, lawyer-worthy. You're not going to get money from every single image that you post online. Sometimes you just want someone, as you said, to take it off their website. They've grabbed it either intentionally or unintentionally and are using it on their blog or their Facebook, whatever it might be. And you might be, that's a picture of my kid. Don't do that kind of stuff. And Pixsy will help with that. Exactly.
So you raise a very good point. Not every case is a strong legal case. In the world we live in, there certainly needs to be a commercial motive behind. What we consider would be a strong case is somewhere a business is using your photo. They are getting a commercial gain from the use of that image. And in those situations, it's a very strong case, and the law is on your side. It's a little bit different if your photo has ended up on a private website or another person's Facebook, for example. That's where we see the takedown is much more appropriate. There's also legal frameworks for that takedown procedure, but recovering compensation in those situations is very unlikely.
I'm talking to Pixsy.com's COO, Kane Jones. The website is Pixsy.com, Pixsy.com. Check it out for yourself. You can always sign up. Again, it doesn't cost anything to sign up. And the other thing that's I love about this, it's not just for professional photographers. You don't have to be a world-renowned pro photographer, A, to use the service, or B, to have your photos stolen, do you?
Absolutely. We see in our customers every walk of life. We see people who are just concerned about their privacy on social media, right up to award-winning photographers who are getting commissioned $20,000 per photo type works. And that's really why we built the service. We believe everyone should be in control of their content online.
The Twitter account, by the way, for Pixsy is Pixsy HQ, Pixsy HQ. Very responsive Twitter account, too, by the way. I just want to let you guys know that. I like when companies get back to you when you ask questions or make comments to them on Twitter. The other aspect of this that is important for people to realize is that Pixsy gets paid, but I don't pay them. How do you guys make the money on this stuff?
Very good question. So, as you say, it's free to join the platform. It's free to have the matches delivered back to you. You can submit cases to us. So if you do find a commercial case where you want us to represent you on your behalf, it's free to submit that to us. We only take a fee if we are successful in recovering compensation. Mm-hmm. So, we're incentivized to get a positive outcome just as much as you are, because that's where we get paid. And if we do recover compensation, our fee for that is 50% of the recovered amount.
Now, that seems to be awfully high, but is that industry standard, or is that just a number you guys have pulled out of your butts?
That is industry standard, and I think the interesting point to note there is that case will come to us. It will be prepared. We'll do the legally compliant evidence collection. We basically do all the hard work. We upfront any fees or expenses that might be involved in that case, and we've gone ahead and negotiated amazing deals with 26 law firms around the world who will represent you and the case, and that's all part of our service and fees.
That's one of the things that really surprised me, and I guess it shouldn't have, was that I did, after Jared Earl pointed out that he had found an image. And by the way, Jared got 3,000 pounds, he's in the UK, 3,000 pounds for his image. And Jared is a nominally professional photographer, but this is the kind of image that he did not give permission for the company to use the image, but also he didn't know that they were using the image. He had no idea. Jared is a working guy, a working photographer, so he doesn't have time to search the internet for his images, and God knows where it could be on the big bad interwebs. So Pixsy sent him the match. The process is, again, really easy. You get an email from Pixsy, or you go to the Pixsy.com website and just go through your matches. And Jared found the match, and according to him, the process was very simple of start a case. You filled out these forms online, and I think he said about 3 weeks or a month later, Pixsy sent him a check for 3,000 pounds. And in the meantime, there was a bunch of emails. I've done the same thing. I found a couple of my images on Pixsy.com that were being used in an unauthorized way. One of them actually stolen from the point of view of the photographer said it was his image, and I can prove that it wasn't, of an image that I never would have known otherwise was being used on this website. But Pixsy.com does a really interesting, and I will say a good job, of keeping me updated step by step by step. I put in my claim 2 weeks ago, and I've gotten 7 emails from Pixsy updating me on what's going on. I've got a case manager. I've got a case number. I'm being told seemingly every step of the way, this is where we're at, this is where we're going, this is what we are working towards. I think it's a very interesting process that photographers don't necessarily know the business end of copyright, of image theft. Let Pixsy take care of the legal aspects of protecting your photos.
Absolutely, and at the end of the day, that's what we do. That's our profession. The customers we represent, nor should they have to spend their day worrying about this topic. We'll automatically find them for you. We'll notify you when we've got the matches. And if you want Pixsy to act as your agent and solve this on your behalf, we're working for you. So we keep you up to date the whole way along. You can ask questions, give us feedback.
Yeah.
That's how we like to operate.
The other aspect that Jared pointed out that I thought was very funny, he said, yeah, the fee seemed high, but it's 50% of an amount he wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So he could get 100% of nothing or 50% of free money. And literally Jared went out and bought himself a motorcycle suit with that money. It was like free money. He was like, whoa, and ran out and just blew it. He just blew the whole lot on a new motorcycle suit. But it was an interesting idea because, like I said, he didn't know that they were using his image. It was some obscure website in Asia was using one of his motorcycle photography shots. And he never would have found out that this was happening, and they were using it either intentionally, they didn't know that it was Jared's photo, or they were actually stealing it. That being said, how can a photographer protect themselves at the beginning of the process? We want to put stuff online. We want people to see our images. We want people to comment on our images and tell us how beautiful they are. But there's an attitude quite often on the internet that if it's on the internet, it's free. If I can see it on the internet, I can click on it, download it, put it on my blog, those kinds of things. How does a photographer protect themselves at the beginning of the process?
Well, we hear this problem a lot. The internet is a big dark place, and this right-click mentality or this Google image search download mentality exists. And unfortunately, it exists in business, which we really frown upon. Yep. We feel the best way is active protection, which is like the fine product with Pixsy. You synchronize your platform as you upload new photos. We're importing them or we're delivering new matches against them. So this active protection certainly is one of the most foolproof ways. Other popular ways are watermarking. However, as we know, watermark can be cropped out of a photo. Yeah. Google has even developed AI, which automatically removes the watermark.
Thanks, Google!
Which is a little bit scary.
Yeah.
We actually, we want our customers, we want people on the internet to be able to share and share appropriately. So we certainly recommend having the right attribution under the photos. If they're being used, if you're posting them online, have clear terms. Say that, this photo is not for use. Yep. It's all rights reserved. Display what kind of license is available for this. Maybe you're happy for it to be used in a non-commercial way. So a Creative Commons type license would be perfect for this. Put out, how you're comfortable for it to be used. And then if it's not used in those ways, you've got the support of Pixsy and our search engine and our team to help you, deal with that if it's not used as you set out for it to be.
Yeah, the images that were used of mine, they were on Flickr, and they do have a Creative Commons license on it. Flickr is very good about allowing you to use different levels of Creative Commons, and mine was most rights reserved, can't be used commercially, and must have attribution. It must say Shawn King, Starting Point Photography, or whatever it might be. And this photographer didn't do that. Not only did he not do that, the photos are on a commercial website, and they've got his name attached to them. So in other words, he's taking credit for those photos. And that's where Pixsy came in. They first of all showed me this. This was on an obscure website that I never would have seen otherwise. Pixsy showed it to me that it was there, and then by clicking one button and answering some questions about the aspects of this theft, Pixsy has started a case file for me and is now working through their process, whatever the back end of that process might be. But it's completely hands-off for me. I don't got to worry about it. I don't got to think, I got to deal with lawyers. I got to find someone in copyright law and all that kind of stuff. So from that point of view, it's a really easy process to do. Every morning I get up, I sit here with my coffee, I go to Pixsy.com, I check my matches. It also shows you, interestingly enough, when your images are being used legally. When I first saw the image, I went, oh my God, someone's stealing it. And then I realized, no, it's on Getty Images, and it's on Getty Images all over the world. One particular shot I took in Mexico of the beach. It's a beautiful shot of canoes and sunrise and all that kind of stuff. And it pops up all over Getty Images. And I thought, oh my goodness, no, I didn't sell that to Getty Images. But Pixsy showed me that the image is coming from another service that I use that licenses their photos to Getty Images. So it's all above board and completely legal. I freaked out to begin with, but because of the way the Pixsy website was set up, I very quickly learned, oh no, I've done this because these companies are licensing these photos among each other. On your website, Pixsy.com, you say 49%, when it comes to stolen images, 49% of them are by bloggers and social media users. And I got to bet that the vast majority of those folks just don't know what the rules are, that they don't know they're not allowed to just grab any photo off the internet and post it on their blog. They're especially not allowed to represent it as their own photo. But even if you wanted to grab one of my pictures and post on your website, you still have to give credit to people. I think that's part of the education process that we don't have in social media and with bloggers, that if you didn't take the picture, folks, it ain't your picture. Get permission from the photographer.
Exactly, and I think we're in a society now where pictures and videos are the main content that's being shared online. It's it's the vast majority of what makes up social media. It's the vast majority of what makes up websites and blogs. It's this visual content, and you're very right. It looks great on websites. People want to use it, but use it in the right way.
Yeah.
It was someone's work. They created it. They may have had some very expensive camera gear involved. Years of training and perfecting their craft to make that photo. And if you're happy for blogs to use it, as long as you're credited, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
We find it really interesting when we do talk to these companies or these people who are using the imagery. And once we sort of explain to them and clarify some of their misconceptions, they do realize that there is ways to use it correctly.
Yep.
And often we'll point them to education articles, we'll point them to Creative Commons type licenses. We're not sort of all about just being the police here. We very much want to be the educator as well. So we're trying to help educate image owners, the people who are making the stuff, how they can put the work online and protect themselves well. But we also want to educate the image users, how to use it correctly, when to have a license, how to correctly attribute these types of things.
One of the interesting things I learned on the Pixsy.com website that I didn't realize, there's always this debate among photographers is, does watermarking actually work? Does it prevent people? No. As you said earlier, even Google image search has got artificial intelligence that will remove your watermark. But you make a good point on Pixsy.com. 68% of photographers had their watermark removed. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Removing a watermark may increase your case settlement by 20%. You say, in fact, of the 1/5 of photographers who had their watermark removed, they earned $1,000 plus fighting image theft in 2016. And what that means is that when your watermark is removed, it's easier to prove malice on the part of the individual. They saw the watermark, they cropped it out, they knew this wasn't their photo, they cropped out your image mark. So that helps Pixsy being able to say, hey, these people deserve to get monetary damages because you are being more malicious in your use of this image. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. So, I mean, if you're modifying the image, if you're cropping out a watermark, if you're changing, as you say, cropping out a watermark is malice, is trying to mask the true ownership of the photo here. And, the owner has put that watermark on there to help protect their intellectual property rights. And in the law, there is protection, there is damages, there is clear procedure for when this does happen. But we also see other types of modifications on the photo, and this also, in certain jurisdictions, can add value to any type of legal claim you might have.
I've heard many people say, that the reason why they edited the watermark out was because it made the photo look uglier. I didn't like the way the watermark looked. Too bad. It's not your photo. It's something, again, that we have to get in the minds of bloggers, social media, and those other folks that's still my image. Yes, you're looking at it on your computer, but I created that image. That image is automatically copyrighted by me just by my act of creating it. You can't do anything to it without my permission, unless it's in an artistic way, and that's a whole different thing. But if you just grab the image, put it on your website, crop out the watermark, you are destroying the, lack of a better term, artistic integrity of my image, and that's not allowed unless I've specifically given you permission. That being said, can you explain copyright to our American and Canadian audience? I know the laws are different all over the place, but let's narrow down that to the U.S. and Canada, here in North America. Am I right when I say that copyright is automatic when you create the image? You can do more, but you automatically have your image copyrighted when you create it.
Absolutely. So at the moment of creation, any artistic work or any work at the moment of creation, the ownership is assigned to the person who created that work. So in photography, the person that holds the camera, pushes the button, captures that image, they automatically assign the copyrights.
Yeah.
In Canada and in the US, they both have copyright offices. So the US Copyright Office is a secondary step, and a step that we certainly promote our photographers to do, where you can register it with the US Copyright Office. You get a certificate, and you are the legal owner of that work with a proven certificate from the government agency. There's a very similar office in Canada. In the US, for example, you can upload and have bulk amount of photos per registration. So I think you can upload 750 photos per registration.
Yeah.
So for about $55 to $65, I believe, you can protect 750 photos. And any single use of your photo in a commercial way, you have statutory damages available to you. So that ranges anywhere from about $750 up to $150,000. So just one photo infringement would pay for that copyright registration 10 times over as a minimum.
But to be clear, you don't have to do that, folks. If you're just a hobbyist photographer, you're just an Instagrammer, you don't have to do that. It's also a little bit restricting. They've just recently changed the rules to 750 maximum images that you can copyright, pay to have copyright. That's going to affect professional photographers. But for us hobbyists, us talented amateurs, you don't have to worry about that. Your case is stronger if you've actually gone and done that effort of copywriting it, and you will get more monetary damages if you have your images officially copyrighted. But again, it's copyrighted by law as soon as you push that button. That's your photo, and you own that photo. Now, I wanted to be specific about North America and Canada because the laws are different all over the world. And I think it's one of the advantages of Pixsy. If I'm sitting here on the Sunshine Coast in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. We're talking to the COO of Pixsy.com, Pixsy.com, Kane Jones. He's in Berlin. The laws are going to be different all over the place. And interestingly enough, some of them are very, very bizarre. For example, Hungary, last year or 2 years ago, Hungary banned taking photos of people on the street. Street photography, the thing that I do the most of. Just walking on the street, taking a picture of someone is illegal in Hungary. It's also, as I read on the Pixsy.com website, illegal, I think, in the Netherlands and also Spain. So you don't know the laws in every country that your photo might show up. Maybe some guy in Germany has grabbed one of my Flickr images. I don't know what the law is in Germany. I don't speak German. I don't know any German lawyers. So it's really nice to have the folks at Pixsy.com go, hey, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. We know the law. We've got law firms in Germany or in France or in the U.S. Those guys know the law. Let them take care of it and they'll tell you, no, this is not an infringing copyright violation, or yes, this is. Yes, you can get money out of it, or no, you can't. Again, Pixsy takes all that back-end stuff out of the loop, so you don't have to worry about it. Is there a way for photographers to find out these kinds of things for Kane? For example, I want to go to a country and take photos. Is there a website that will tell me, yes, you can do this, you can't do this, don't do this kind of stuff?
I haven't found a website that I guess it goes into as much detail as, can you take photos on street with, faces detected or faces visible in that photo. There's a number of really good forums online. At our blog, we have a lot of interesting content on there. There's some other sites that I, personally like to keep up to date on, IP Explorer, Petapixel, ASMP. There's a number of sites which more towards the professional end of photography and the more in-depth knowledge of intellectual property. But as you say, if you're based in North America, you're based in Canada, and you've got a photo, you find one commercial match in Australia, another one in Japan, another one in Spain, another one in Germany. For you to go out and understand these legal landscapes, the legislation, for you to engage a law firm, for you to in many cases having to upfront or pay a deposit for these law firms to even touch your case, to even assess it. that's where we take all that away from you.
Yep.
It shouldn't be that difficult, and it isn't. And we have the speciality there to give you that sort of global protection.
And the other great aspect of this is, as I said earlier, that these are photos that you wouldn't have known were being lifted off Flickr or Instagram otherwise, because these aren't your professional photos that you sold to National Geographic or whatever it might be. Or even if you're just a talented amateur, you don't have the time. You've got a real job. You don't have the time to go out to all these places and try to find your images. Having Pixsy.com take care of that back end stuff is very, very freeing. What I'll say to you, Kane, is you have the folks at Pixsy.com have a blog that's a lot of interesting articles on there. Hire me to travel the world, and I'll find this information out for you. All right? I will do that for you. Out of the kindness of my heart. I will go to Vietnam and ask people, hey, can I take a pic? No? Okay, fine. Write it on. But it is a difficult thing. It's something I do tell folks when they are doing travel photography, when they're just going on vacation. Do a little bit of research on Google. Find out if you're allowed to. Hungary seems like a country that the people wouldn't have a problem you taking pictures of them on the street, and it's lightly enforced. But still, you don't want a Hungarian police officer coming up to you and demanding your camera or whatever laws, whatever remedies the law requires there. That would be an awful situation for you as a vacationer to do. You see a person standing in front of a church, you take their picture, you're not allowed to do that. So you got to find out what the rules and laws and regulations are in each country that you go to. So it's as difficult for the vacationing travel photographer as it is for the professionals to try to find out what the laws are in different places. And having someone like Pixsy.com do that stuff on your behalf is, like I said, very freeing for me. It was great to see these emails from Pixsy.com saying, hey, this is where we're at in the process. This is where we're going. All I got to do is read them. I don't got to do anything. I don't got to fill out more forms or give evidence to a law court, things like that. When notices are sent to offenders, no matter what country they are, does Pixsy.com find most of the time people are going, oh, sorry, didn't know, and taking the photo down? Or is there a lot of pushback from these websites who have grabbed these images?
Both ends of the spectrum. We have, very big companies that come back fighting. We have very small companies or individuals that are operating small businesses who are extremely apologetic. And, everywhere on that spectrum, our case management team are very used to, diffusing the situation where they can. And, we're used to the arguments. We're every day defending our photographers, defending our customers, explaining to the image using companies that just because you right clicked on Google doesn't mean that it's free content.
Yep.
And yes, just because your receptionist or your marketing coordinator uploaded that, at the end of the day you're the business owner.
Yep.
There's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of confusion, not just from the people who are taking these photos and putting them online, but also the people who are acquiring them and putting them on their website. There's a lot of misconceptions,
Yep.
and that's where we see a big role in our position here is to help educate and defending the rights and having these negotiations and what am I trying to say? Challenging conversations with the image using companies. It shouldn't be what you should be spending your day doing.
Exactly.
That's what we're here for. That's where we earn our fee is by defending your claim correctly and recovering compensation, and getting the best solution out of this for you, and defending your rights here.
And it's certainly easier for Pixsy.com to have that challenging conversation than it would be for me. I don't live in that country. I don't speak that language. I don't know anything about the law in general, let alone specifically to photography in Hungary or Spain or Germany or that kind of stuff. So for you guys to be able to go out there and however gently or non-gently, plus the other side of it is if I send an email to someone, it's easy to ignore. If a law firm sends an email to you, you're generally going to pay attention.
Exactly, and that's what we find. You necessarily don't want that sort of reputation of sending these letters. We do find that sometimes the image using companies, the image users will write a blog post online and say, oh, Pixsy's come after me for X amount of dollars, and how unfair is that?
That's right.
I'm only making $1,000 a month on advertising on my website. I should be able to use it for free.
Yeah.
And for us, we don't really mind that bad press. That's us doing our job.
Exactly.
For you as a creative, you probably don't want that associated with you and your work. And that's why we're here.
You're good. Folks, I've been talking to the COO of Pixsy.com, Pixsy.com, Kane Jones. Thank you very much. Kane, I could keep talking to you about this stuff for hours. I know you're busy, but I really appreciate you guys coming on. Again, Pixsy.com. If you've got any photos online, folks, if you're an Instagrammer, if you're a Facebooker, if you're a Flickr user, it doesn't cost anything to sign up to Pixsy.com, so you might as well. And it is kind of interesting to see where your photos might end up literally around the world. I found some of my photos in Japan. I found them here in Vancouver. I found them in the United States. Sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it's not. If you put a little bit of effort into the Pixsy.com website, and it's not a lot of effort at all. It's a few minutes every morning where I go through my photos to see what Pixsy.com has found. Maybe you can be lucky like my friend Jared Earl and get 3,000 pounds. Maybe you get $100. Who knows? But it's money you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Think of it that way. It's free money. Just for the few minutes of logging on, signing up to Pixsy.com, you might, there's no guarantees about any of this stuff, but at least you're doing something more proactive to protect your images and to protect your artistic creations in your photography. Kane Jones of Pixsy.com, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for listening in to that interview. My apologies to you folks who are listening live. Apparently, we are having some audio dropouts with that. Some weird issues with the audio on that file. My apologies for that. But it didn't sound bad here on this end, and I think it'll be fine. It should be fine in the archive. And as Monty pointed out, if necessary, if there are dropouts in the archive version, I'll just drop in the original video into that. That was annoying, but hopefully it was a good interview. If you like the interview, Pixsy HQ, Pixsy HQ on Twitter. Tell them you enjoyed the interview because it makes me look good. That's all that really matters. Speaking of looking good, she's back.
I already cooked you dinner and fresh bacon powder biscuits.
It smells so good.
You still telling me I look good?
Why are you doing a southern accent?
Oh, it's the lady on Justified. She's got me. Just a fad. So if you have an Instagram account, sorry, I didn't fully. If you have an Instagram account, you should go on.
If you put your images on the internet, if you use I think there's 12. Let's check Pixsy PXY. I think there's 12 services that they will check and compare. If you put your images on any of those services, you should do this. You should link up those services to Pixsy.com. Instagram, Flickr. What else have I got? Tumblr. I'm trying to see if there's a list of their websites. Oh, the other thing is it's free for 500 images monitored, unlimited import sources, regular matches, and free unlimited case submission. It's $19 a month for 2,000 images, $40 a month for 30,000 images, and for pros for 100,000 images monitored. So they monitor your images. I'm trying to see what's the some on their website. Just trying to see if they tell you who they link to, what services. Personalized dashboards, customer reviews. I'll find it out somewhere. But yeah, if you use Flickr and Instagram and those kinds of services, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't cost you anything to sign up.
No.
They'll look for 500 images, which is more than what most people have, and you just might get lucky. You just might get a ping. If nothing else, you might find, as we said in the interview, maybe you've got a picture of your kids in a swimming pool playing around, posted up on Facebook, and someone's using it, not even in a rude, bad way.
No.
Somewhere else, they're just using it because it's a cute picture of kids in a swimming pool. And you don't want your kids' pictures on some website in Japan.
No.
You're not going to get any money from that guy. But what Pixsy will do is they'll send them a takedown notice, which is basically a legal document that says, our client, and I said during the interview, those words are powerful. You get an email from Shawn King, you're going to ignore it. You get an email from a lawyer who says, our client wants you to do this, you're going to pay attention. Says, take the photo down. And as he said, most of the time, people do. Especially just bloggers and social media. And those are the folks who are the most notorious for, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say borrowing images. Not stealing them because maybe they don't know. That's the part of the problem. Is a lot of people think that if it's on the internet, it's free. Whether that be, and pictures are the easiest thing. It's just a right click and download. I can put it on my website. We had this discussion before about watermarks too, and it's interesting him reading on the Pixsy.com website that you kind of should put a watermark on your images, because if nothing else, if the blogger edits the watermark, then you're almost guaranteed a monetary damages, because then the blogger can't say I didn't know. You know, you took out the part that said this belongs to so and so, so you knew it wasn't your. I mean, you knew it wasn't your image to begin with, but by editing out the watermark, you are automatically admitting guilt. And even for a blogger, you might be able to get monetary damages out of a blogger. Certainly out of a publication, a commercial publication, you'll definitely get monetary damages. And as he also said, if your image is officially copyrighted with the U.S. Copyright Office, the Canadian Copyright Office, or Copyright Office in your country, then that almost triples damages automatically when you've stolen it. But, and this is something people need to keep in mind, your image is copyrighted the moment you create the image. It's already got a copyright on it. Your claim to monetary damages are higher if you officially copyright your image, but it's expensive. It's, I think, $75 a piece. I'm not doing that for one of my Flickr images or my Instagram images. But yeah, if you've got Instagram photos that you don't want other people, if you don't care about your photos, then that's fine. But why not do this? Maybe you make a few bucks out of it.
I might do it. I have some good photographs
You
on
absolutely
Instagram.
do. You absolutely do. And that's where a lot of, out of the 49% of images that are borrowed by bloggers, more than half of those come from Instagram.
Okay.
People taking the, because Instagram is one of the most popular social sharing sites, and people are stealing images off Instagram. So keep that in mind.
Wow.
These nice folks, the website called, where to go? I had it here a second ago. Hello Nomad, Nomad, hellonomad.com, sent me a bunch of stuff to talk to you guys about, to see what you guys thought about them, or what I thought about them. First up, they have this, and I'm only showing you the box in this one because the hub's actually in use in the kitchen. It's already there. This is the Nomad 5-device hub. It's actually a very good-looking, elegant little 5-port hub. And what it is you plug this into the wall, and then, as you can see in the back, you plug 5 USB devices into the back of it. And as you see from the front here, so those cables are coming out here, and now you can plug in 5 devices. You can power 5 iPads, iPhones, batteries. This is actually powering our cat water fountain.
That's right, it is.
The cats love this thing. And you really like this too. Why?
I do. Because living with Shawn King means cords.
Oh, okay.
Lots of cords.
I was like, where's she going with this? No,
So it organizes the cords a little bit, and then it sits under our little lamp in the kitchen, so it's kind of inconspicuous there.
Yeah, I don't like it as much as you do, if only because, yes, it is inconspicuous itself, and it's literally a base for the lamp right now, but you still have the problem with those 5 cables coming out of the back. Those cables have to go somewhere. The electro outlet no longer has 5 devices plugged into it with 5 wires hanging down, which looks kind of ugly.
I really like that about it.
But those cables are still there. The cables have not disappeared. The cables are still streaming out of the back of this thing and now coming to the front and still hanging out there. So it's not as an elegant solution as you would like.
It's more orderly.
It's more orderly.
Now, what
yes.
was that surge that night? We could hear the cat fountain surging.
Yeah, it just wasn't plugged in properly.
Oh, it didn't have to do with the...
No.
Okay.
The other issue with these kinds of devices, the other thing that the folks at HelloNomad.com have, they have a wireless charger version of this. So remember that wireless technology I showed you at the Apple Store where you just put your phone down on top of it?
Mm-hmm.
They have a 5-port wireless hub too. So one of your devices, your iPhone 10, is the only one that can do it right now. One of your devices can just be put on top of the hub and be charged that way. So it's one less cable. And we'll get more and more of those as time goes on. So I like it. It is elegant. It does look nice.
It does.
But it doesn't really solve the problem of those 5 cables coming out of the wall.
No.
Next up is the, they call this the rugged case. And this is a really nice, this is the case on my iPhone. I showed this off a couple of weeks ago. It's a leather case. It's got the usual protection on the front of that little lip. So if it falls flat on a surface, it's protected from scratches. It has the indentations, obviously, for the iPhone camera. It feels nice. It's a nice feeling leather wallet. One of the problems I was surprised I was going to have with the iPhone 10 is it's a lot slippery than what I expected. The other great thing about this one is that because it's leather, because it's the kind of leather that they use, it scuffs wonderfully. This is going to get worn really beautifully. They got a neat picture on the back of their case of day 1 versus day 100, and you can kind of see the difference in the quality of leather. Like good leather, it will wear in its own particular kind of way, in its own little trademark way. So the scratches I have on this, I kind of like. I kind of want to scratch them up even more to make even more of a difference. You can't barely
It's new,
see
but
them.
it will improve.
But it will improve. There's already abrasion marks on the corners for me sticking it in my pockets or rubbing on things. I like the case. The only downside of the case is a weird downside, and it's not really even a complaint. Here's the iPhone case. Now, the difference between this case and this case is one thing. It's the bottom. The Nomad case doesn't have that open slit at the bottom. It's closed at the bottom. And you know what difference makes? What difference that makes? When I pick the phone up in the dark with the slit on the bottom, I automatically know where the orientation of the phone is. I pick it up and I immediately flip it over or I flip it around. I know exactly where it is. I don't get that feeling with this one. It's a very, very minor issue. It's not that big at all. It's the only thing I found that's a little bit annoying about this. But it's utterly minor. The only other downside is it's not red. I like the red case.
I do too.
I really like the red case over the brown wallet. The brown wallet case is more stylish, more classy, but I prefer the red color. It
stands out more.
If they had red leather of this, I'd really, really like it. The brown is nice, but the red is better. So I like this one. I think I prefer this one, but only because of the color. If the color doesn't matter, the leather on this thing is wonderful. It's got the usual buttons on the side so you can change your volume. The only issue I had with this one was the power button on this side doesn't click the way it's supposed to, but they said that's a design defect and they're sending me a new one as a replacement. It still works. It still turns the phone on and off, but it doesn't click like the iPhone, sort of like the volume ones do. And it also doesn't solve the problem of taking screenshots all the frickin' time. It drives me batshit crazy.
You are taking a lot of screenshots.
This is one of those things that you really couldn't care about until you get one, and then you think, I really like this. This is the Nomad Universal Cable. It's a 1.5 meter, 5 foot long universal cable. They've got a whole bunch of cool stuff in the back of it. It's Kevlar lined and RF shielded and a durable PVC jacket, ultra rugged nylon. Okay, whatever. The cool thing about this one is the end of it. First of all, here's the braided cable. It looks real nice, feels real nice. It's got a nice black to it. But the neat thing about this is that because it's a 3-in-1 cable, let me grab this end. Come here. Come on. Because it's a 3-in-1 cable, it's got 3 different connectors on it. It's got a USB-C, it's got a lightning port, and it's got a mini USB port. And until you use something like this, you don't realize how cool this is. That with one cable, I can charge up 3 different devices. Now, not at the same time, one after the other. But rather than having 3 cables lying around, sticking out of a power port or sticking out of my iMac, I've got the one cable. So when I want to charge up my iPhone, I just, here's the base one is there. I take the lightning port one and slide it over the top. It snaps nicely into place, and there is my lightning port. The third one just slides out of the way. It slides to the bottom of the cable. It's really nice. I really, really like this. When I want to charge up my battery pack, where is that battery pack? With my, when I want to charge up my camera battery pack, I use the mini USB. I just pop this part off, slide it down out of the way, and now the USB just plugs into the battery pack. This is really useful. I really, really like this cable. I wasn't expecting, when they offered to send it to me, I was like, yeah, I don't care. But when I got it, I realized, oh, this is really, really kind of cool. And a 5-foot-long cable, that's really nice. And nice. Some of these devices I've got have got like a 6-inch long cable, which is utterly useless. But this thing is 5 feet long. This is longer than Melissa.
It has 3 useful things on the end. Wow.
I'm not going there. No way.
Monty wants to know how much it is.
Hello, Nomad.com for pricing if you want to find out, Monty. And what else do they have? So that was the case. There is, like I said, I really highly recommend the rugged case and the cable. This one's a little harder to recommend. This one's just kind of weird. It's a wallet. Now, here is my usual wallet. I love these little slim wallets. I don't carry around a lot of paper. I've got a credit card. I got my driver's license. I got some business cards in the side. And, yep, no money. Fully expecting. I was hoping maybe someone would show up. So this is just a little wallet case that I really like. I especially like it for the motorcycle because the little thin wallet goes in my pocket. It's got a neat little feature here. There's some cards there in the center, and when you pull up this little tab here, the cards in the center slide up, so you can grab hold of them and you push them back down. So that's my everyday usual wallet. Where'd it go?
Did you bring?
I brought it. So I'm not generally a fan of billfold wallets. I find they're too thick, especially the trifold ones, and you tend to use up whatever space you have in the wallet. So if your wallet has 15 pockets, you'll put 15 things in it. Mm-hmm. If it's got room for receipts, you'll put receipts in it. You'll put stuff into it. So I'm not a giant fan of these kinds of wallets. There's lots of space on the inside. It's got the usual empty money thing, which seems to be happening to me a lot. You don't have the tradition in Australia of you don't give wallets to people without money in it, do you?
No, you would put money in a wallet, yeah.
The bastards at Nomad didn't, so I think it's bad luck.
I think so too.
But the neat thing about this, and the weird kind of geeky cool thing about it, is that in the center of this thing is a lightning cable. And where does that go, do you ask? It goes to a battery that's in the center of the wallet. And it's kind of neat, maybe, geeky, maybe, interesting, maybe. The idea that you charge this up to the mini USB port, then this slides into its little holder. So you have this cable that's, mostly out of the way in the center of your wallet. There's the bulk of it. You put this wallet in your back pocket, like you do with any other wallet. You've got lots of space for driver's license and credit cards and nope, still no money in here for all that kind of stuff. But if at the end of your day you need a quick hit of battery, you can use your phone. You can use your wallet to give you a little boost. Supposedly the battery in here will charge your iPhone up one full charge, which is not bad. That's pretty good. Most of the time your iPhone lasts for all day or 3/4 of the day, but if you want to make sure that you're getting a little bit of extra battery charge, you can use this. The biggest downside is this is not a flexible wallet. Sorry, a flexible battery. You have to put it in your pocket in this direction. That's not that big a deal. But would you regular wallet users have a concern about putting this in your back pocket? Do you think that would be an issue that maybe it would, I don't know if it would bend or break or anything else? It's made of the same really nice leather as the iPhone case. It's very supple, very flexible leather that will wear in just beautifully. So as a wallet, it's high quality and feels really nice. I don't know about the nerd factor of carrying the battery around inside of it. You weren't crazy about this either, were you? But
No.
you had a specific reason.
Well, because I was thinking I would just rather have a cute little battery lipstick size thing that I would carry around with me.
And you know why? Because you have a purse.
Yeah.
So for women, yes, a little lipstick size battery charger would make perfect sense for you guys, because you can just drop it in your purse. Guys don't carry around a purse. I don't want to put that
Don't want to put that in
in
your
my
pocket?
front pocket.
Okay.
So this would
Serves two purposes.
would serve two purposes. I don't know how useful it is. It is kind of nerdy. So if that's your goal, then yeah, maybe that's something
You go to
would
the
use.
bar and take it out and put it on and plug your phone in and
Well, I've plugged my phone into it just sitting at the kitchen table, just getting a little extra juice. So yeah, it's I don't know if I personally would buy it, again, because I prefer the slim wallets. But if I didn't prefer the slim wallets, would I use this one? I don't know. I like the idea though of, I think one of the reasons why for me is because I'm almost always, even when I leave the house, near some sort of device that I can charge. If I'm leaving the house, it's the car or the motorcycle. If and then generally I'm coming home soon enough that I don't got to worry about running out of battery. But if you do have concerns about running out of battery and don't want to carry around a full-size battery pack, maybe that's something that you could think about using. Again, the website is hellonomad.com, and I really like the website too, and I'm kind of worried that when I like someone's website that I don't want to project their ability of being good web designers onto their products. That's two different things. But the website's pretty cool. It's done very well. What are you shaking your head about?
because I don't think really you would do that if the products were really shitty and the website was this amazing website. I really don't. I mean, they have some good stuff.
They do. I think, and I like the website. They've got, they say they're designed for adventure. They have an interesting company philosophy of that they are very much about minimalism and about making your life simple and not more difficult, which is
I like that.
kind of interesting. You can go to the website, Hello Nomad.
Did you see what Monty said?
No, what he said.
He said, a lithium-ion battery next to my ass that might explode if I sit on it. Wrong. Pass.
Well, I don't know if that's... I haven't done any stress testing of this, but I will tell you that it does not feel like there's any give in that thing. I mean, I'm not hearing any cracking. I'm not feeling anything give. I think the outside case of it, maybe I'll ask them about that, Monty, about what's the stress test of this section of it. But I'm pushing hard enough to dent the leather, and it's not giving. It's not coming apart at all. But I understand the concern. That certainly is a valid concern. Maybe it's an inside pocket wallet in a suit jacket.
Right.
Kind of thing, as opposed to a back,
the back
pocket
pocket thing. Where,
HelloNomad.com is the website. Folks, we've run over our allotted time this evening. I want to say thanks very much, as always, to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com for joining us here on the show. Also thanks to the Chief Operating Officer of Pixsy.com, Kane Jones, for doing it. And also a big shout-out and thank you to Hannah Graves, who is their PR person who set up the interview for me. If you like them, as always, I encourage you to tell them on Twitter, on Facebook, on their website. On Twitter, they are Pixsy HQ, Pixsy HQ. Tell them you heard about them on Your Mac Life, because it makes me look good. And I would appreciate it if you did that. Also, a big thanks to the folks at Hello Nomad for sending me these products for review. I really like them, and they seem like a pretty cool company. So check them out at hellonomad.com. Melissa, it smells like she has made some delicious.
You're delirious with hunger.
Delicious chicken stew.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of biscuits?
Baking powder biscuits.
I don't know where the southern accent comes from. Baking powder biscuits. We are going to have supper. We're going to sit down in front of our television set, and we're going to watch the Olympic
Canadian
Games.
win.
We're going to watch. What are we going to watch?
We're going to watch the women's hockey team win.
Canada,
Beat the Americans.
Canada versus the United States in hockey. This is going to be fun. If you get a chance, the game is on at 8 p.m. Pacific time. It's 11 p.m.
Monty's such a rabble-rouser.
What do you say?
He said, go Team USA.
Oh, come on, dude. Come on. You don't even care. You're American. B, you're Southern. You don't care about hockey. You don't even pretend like you care about hockey.
And MacMan says that we better have some beer to drown our sorrows.
Well, your sorrows, MacMan. This is hockey. This is Canada. We ain't losing this game. Because the whole country will be just in mourning tomorrow. Absolutely in mourning if we lose.
It will.
We hate losing to the Americans in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
We don't mind if you beat us in car racing. We don't mind if you beat us in a number of guns. We don't mind if you beat us in a lot of things. We really get pissed off.
I don't think we even mind if the Russians beat us.
In hockey?
Yeah.
Yes, it's
not
less.
as much.
Yes, we don't like losing in hockey, period.
No.
But we'd rather lose to the Russians than lose to the Americans.
Mm-hmm.
At least when we lose to the Russians, we're like, good game.
Yeah, it was
when we lose the Americans, like, fucking referees cheated out of it. Bastards. They cheated. So, it's going to be fun. So if you get a chance, check it out. The Olympics tonight. I don't know if you can. I got to assume NBC. Please tell me NBC's showing it live.
Oh,
they got to be showing it live
it's
somewhere.
the U.S.
But it is hockey. So
they'll be thinking they're going to win, but
anyway,
they're not.
If you follow me on Twitter, I'll see you on Twitter. Otherwise, thank you guys very much for joining me here on the show tonight. I also want to say a big thank you to the nice folks at Rogue Amoeba who helped me out with an audio routing issue. I've been using their Farago Farago app, I don't know how to say it, and Loopback to solve the audio issues. So I appreciate those guys letting me use their software. Until next week, as always, she's been
Melissa King.
I was doing so good, and then you messed me up.
I made you baking powder biscuits. Come on.
I've been Shawn King. You've been listening to Your Mac Life. Thanks very much. See ya.
Bye.